What's up, y'all? I'm your host, Stan Beckton, and you're listening to the NightStand, where we provide you with an intriguing social commentary on sports, entertainment, and more. We got an amazing show for you today, so stay tuned and listen up. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the NightStand with Stan Beckton. That's me, yours truly. If you haven't heard of me, you'll be hearing of me soon. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram at The NightStand Show and to subscribe however you're listening today. Today we have football, basketball, the finals. It's the finals, and we have the quarter point of the NFL season as well as college football as well. Football, basketball, all that. I'm going to get right into it.
Swish, I'm ballin'. I'm so awesome.
To start off, we're going to start off with the WNBA finals. I told you last week the Seattle Storm would win. And what did they do? They swept the Las Vegas Aces to win that series 3-0.
I told you.
Seattle Storm are your 2020 WNBA Finals champion. Yes, the Seattle Storm are the champions of the WNBA. In this series, like I told you, Seattle Storm caused the Las Vegas Aces a lot of problems. The Seattle Storm were led by Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart, and they were just too much to handle for the Las Vegas Aces. Yes, the Las Vegas Aces have this year's WNBA MVP in Aja Wilson, but Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart are two of the greatest WNBA players in the history of the game. Yes, Breanna Stewart is only 26, but she has 2 rings already. Greatest college player of all time, in my opinion. 2 greatest players that ever played the game in the WNBA. The Aces just didn't have enough to keep up scoring-wise with Hemby out. I told you that last week, that Hemby out would be a problem, and that would be part of the reason that the Storm would win this series. And the Storm's defense was amazing. The Seattle Storm played amazing defense in this WNBA Finals series. They locked down the Aces. They only averaged 76 points per game in this final series. Only 76 points per game. At one point, they held Aja Wilson to 9 points in a game. 9 points in game 1. She averaged 20 points per game in the playoffs and the regular season. They held her only 9 points. The Storm defense was amazing. The defense was amazing. Once again, the Seattle Storm are your 2020 WNBA Finals champions. Yes, they are the champions. Best team in the league. Best team in the league.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Moving on to the NBA Finals. In the NBA Finals, the Lakers have got themselves a commanding 3-1 lead. Yep, a 3-1 lead. There that number goes again in the LeBron James series. A 3-1 lead for the Los Angeles Lakers over the Miami Heat. If you listened to the show last week, I told you some of the reasons why the Lakers would win this series, and one of them was that the Lakers would be able to attack that zone defense of the Miami Heat. And in games 1 and 2, it really showed. Games 1 and 2, the Lakers won both of those games. Eric Spoelstra made the adjustment, got rid of some of that zone defense in game 3 when it came down to crunch time, and the Heat won game 3. They played man-to-man in the finals minutes, and they won that game. Jimmy Butler, he got him one. All the greats get them one. And Jimmy Butler put himself in that conversation with the AIs, with the Kobe's, with the Magics, all those people who lost 4-1 in series and got themselves one. Will Jimmy Butler be able to get another one? I'm not so sure, but he got himself one. The biggest surprise I've seen so far in the NBA Finals is the Lakers' three-point shooting. The Lakers' three-point shooting has been about 35% in each game of the NBA Finals this year. This is way better than normal because there have been games where the Lakers have not been able to shoot the side of the backboard, nonetheless make a three-point shot. So for the Lakers to be shooting at almost 35% from 3 in this series, that's one of the big reasons they are going to win this series, and they are winning this series. They've gotten key contributions from Rondo, from KCP. KCP has been lights out this series. It's been great to see him come from being harassed on Twitter to being one of the key contributors for this Lakers team.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
Last but not least, we cannot talk about the NBA Finals without talking about LeBron and AD. The stars are getting the job done. Just like I said, the stars are getting the job done at the end of the day. LeBron is averaging 28 points, 11 rebounds, 8.5 assists. AD is averaging 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. This has led to an increasing debate about who should win Finals MVP. For who should win Finals MVP, it's time for my 3-point stance.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
In this week's edition of the 3-point stance, I am here to tell you why Anthony Davis deserves the Finals MVP so far through 4 games in this NBA Finals series. Here's why. To start off, as Anthony Davis performs, the Lakers perform. In Game 1, Anthony Davis set the tone with 34 points out the gate. This is when the Heat were at full strength. 34 points on a Bam, on a Goran. 34 points. As the Lakers go, it depends on AD. In Game 3, he was in foul trouble. He had an off performance. But when LeBron was on the court without AD, he couldn't carry the load. They lost Game 3 because LeBron was on the court for a long time without AD due to that foul trouble. As AD goes, the Lakers go. Last but not least, in Game 4, when it came down to crunch time, who once again hit another clutch shot? It was Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis hit a clutch shot in Game 4 to create that key separation to win that must-win game for the Lakers to get that 3-1 lead. Point number 2 as to why Anthony Davis is Finals MVP so far. Defense. In Game 4, he was switching on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler guarding him. When he was in foul trouble in Game 3, he wasn't guarding Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler had 40 points in a triple-double in Game 3. Game 4, though, he switched on to Jimmy Butler, locked him down on that final possession. Lakers win the game. My final point, point number 3, for why Anthony Davis deserves Finals MVP is because of his efficiency on the court. Everyone says LeBron is so efficient, but in this series, Anthony Davis has been even more efficient than LeBron could have dreamed of. LeBron always has the ball in his hands because there's no true point guard outside of Rajon Rondo. With that ball in his hands, he has had a lot of turnovers. He has 16 turnovers through 4 games. That's 4 turnovers per game. That's a lot of turnovers. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis has less turnovers, and when he's shooting from the field, he is at 61, 55, and 100% from free throw. That's his shooting stats. 61, 55, 100. That's efficient. As efficient as you can get. When the ball is in AD's hands, you know something positive is going to happen for the Lakers. Every time AD gets the ball on the court, something positive is likely going to happen. This is why Anthony Davis is Finals MVP. If he can have a Game 5 performance, 30 points or better, 10 rebounds, he will secure himself that Finals MVP and go down in history as one of the Lakers' greats for another great Finals performance.
That's football, guys. That's all it is.
It's time for our football news, and now it's time for our biggest news since the conclusion of Sunday's games. Bill O'Brien got fired from the Houston Texans. He was a head coach and a GM. He got fired from both. He had 2 jobs. He got fired from both. Let me give you a little bit of his transactions he made as a Houston Texans GM. All right. Jadeveon Clowney traded Jadeveon Clowney, former number 1 overall pick, for a 3rd-round pick, Barkevious Mingo, and Jacob Martin, Trade number 2, he traded for Laramie Tunsil. He traded away a 2020 first-round pick, a 2021 first-round pick, and a 2021 second-round pick, all without getting a contract guarantee from Laramie Tunsil. And when he did get him, he overpaid him more than any other tackle in NFL history. 3rd transaction. This one was a detrimental one. He traded away star receiver, most likely future Hall of Famer DeAndre Hopkins, to the Arizona Cardinals this past offseason. He traded away Hopkins and a 4th-round pick for David Johnson, a 2nd-round pick, and a 4th-round pick. All these moves left the Houston Texans with no 1st-round or 2nd-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Without any of these picks, whoever comes in there as a GM and a head coach have their work cut out for them next year. Hopefully the interim coach and Romeo Crennel can rebound the Texans from their 0-4 start and get them to be a playoff team like they hoped, like I Super Bowl predicted. I'm I'm going to hold on to that. I did do that. Yes, I did. But the Packers are looking good too. But to get back on track, Bill O'Brien got fired. Bill O'Brien got fired after an 0-4 start. But the timing doesn't really make sense to me. He's 0-4 but had the most difficult schedule in the NFL with games, first 3 games, Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. That's a difficult schedule for anybody. I don't care who you are. For them to go 0-3, yes, you want to see them go at least 1-2 in those first 3 games, and then for them to lose to the Vikings the next week, that's terrible. But the timing is still weird. Why? Because they could have fired Bill O'Brien after a 24-0 lead was blown in the playoffs last year. That's when you could have fired him. You waited for him to trade away DeAndre Hopkins. You waited for all these moves to happen, and then you fire him this year. Now the season's wasted. You should have fired him last year before he got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. You could have kept DeAndre Hopkins on that team with Deshaun Watson. The timing doesn't make sense for the firing of Bill O'Brien, but it was the right move nonetheless. Before I end this NFL segment, though, let me give you my games of the week this week. This week, you got the Colts at the Browns. This will show who's a contender, who's a pretender in the AFC. Both teams are 3-1. Who's really for real? Are the Browns? Are they really for real? They had a great week last week against the Cowboys, but are they really for real? And the Colts with Phillip Rivers keep on churning away, but are they really for real? My last game of the week this week is the Bills at Titans, but COVID is taking over that Titans team. They had impermissible practices and all that, so who knows how that game is even about to go for the Titans? Who knows how that game is about to go? Will they even play it? Will it be another postponement 2 weeks in a row for the Titans? I don't know. But Bills and Titans, if they do play, that would be a doozy. I don't even say doozy, but that game is a doozy right there. For the final segment of the day, it's time for our college football segment. We're going to start off by telling you this right here, PSA. The Big 12 is in shambles. Oklahoma lost 2 in a row. Texas just lost to TCU. The only team that is undefeated in the Big 12 so far is Oklahoma State. That's it. You got the Red River rivalry this weekend. Texas at Oklahoma. If Oklahoma loses this, they're done. They're 0-3 in the Big 12. There's no chance for them to win. There's no chance for Oklahoma to win the Big 12. If Texas loses, that is even worse for the Big 12 because you'll have Texas at 0-2 in the Big 12. It'll be terrible. The Big 12 is in complete shambles. And don't be surprised if the Big 12 misses the college football playoff this year. They might miss the college football playoff this year. Don't be surprised because the Big 12 is in shambles. They're in shambles. Now it's time for my college football game of the week. My college football game of the week is none other than Clemson, Miami. That is the game of the week. Whoever wins this game between De'Aaron King and Trevor Lawrence will be the Heisman frontrunner. Will Trevor Lawrence finally be able to add that one thing to his trophy collection before he leaves for the NFL? The Heisman Trophy. If Trevor Lawrence wants to win a Heisman before he leaves and becomes a top draft pick in the NFL, this is the week to stake his claim to it. You are playing a 3-0 undefeated Miami team, a top 10 ranked Miami team. If you want to win the Heisman before you leave for the NFL, Trevor Lawrence, this is when you have to ball out. This week, nationally televised game, ACC, you're not playing out of conference games. This is when you have to show that you are worthy of this Heisman Trophy because this might be your last moment to prove that you are worthy of the Heisman Trophy because we all know that the ACC is terrible. So Trevor Lawrence, if you want the Heisman Trophy, you have to perform this weekend against Miami. You have to come out, lights out, ball out, outperform De'Aaron King. You have to outperform De'Aaron King. Whoever wins this game wins the Heisman. Now, who will win this game? Well, Clemson has blown out all their opponents. Miami, they've kind of blown out them all. Had a little bit of a close game with Louisville here and there. I don't know. But I'm going to go with Clemson. Clemson will be upset later this season, but not by Miami. They're not going to be upset by Miami. I'm just going to let you know that. Why? Clemson is built for this. They're built for this. They know the big moment. You can catch Clemson sleeping, but you can't catch them when they're awake. And they're awake for this game, and Clemson is going to win this game against Miami. They're going to win this game against Miami. I just want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of the NightStand with Stan Becton. That's me, yours truly. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram at The NightStand Show and to subscribe however you're listening today. Thank you for tuning in to another great episode. We got more content coming for you next week. Be sure to stay tuned and just know The NightStand is your favorite show.